All right, today we're going to do something really cool. We're going to walk through the complete blueprint for building your own autonomous AI research analyst. Seriously, we're talking about taking an AI from just a basic Google user and turning it into this powerful machine that can gather information and, more importantly, synthesize it. You know the feeling, right? You're researching something and suddenly you've got like 50 browser tabs open. It's just this sea of information, and you're trying to piece it all together. It's a total mess. Well, what if an AI could do all of that heavy lifting for you? That's exactly what we're talking about today. So here's the game plan. First, we'll meet our AI researcher. Then we'll dissect its anatomy, what makes it tick. After that, we'll map out the entire information gathering workflow. We'll zoom in on the real magic, which is synthesis. And finally, we'll get practical with how to build, evaluate, and improve these things. Let's jump in. Okay, first things first, let's get to know this AI researcher. Think about it. We're taking a huge leap here, moving way beyond just typing things into Google and into the world of actual, automated analysis. So, what are we actually talking about here? What is a research agent? The best way to think about it is like having a tireless junior research analyst on your team. This isn't just an AI that finds a few links. No. It truly understands your question. It goes out and searches multiple sources, extracts the key info, and then, this is the most important part, it synthesizes all of it into a single, coherent report. And yeah, it even cites its sources. And let's be clear, this is not just some cool theoretical toy. These agents are being used for some seriously powerful stuff in the real world. I mean, you can set them loose on market and competitor research, have them map out a whole new tech landscape, or even just get them to summarize a bunch of dense academic papers. We're talking about automating really deep, knowledge-based work here. All right, so now that we know what they are, let's pop the hood and see how they actually work. We're going to break down the anatomy of a research agent into its core building blocks. Okay, so at its core, a research agent really boils down to 5 key capabilities. It all starts with goal understanding. It has to know what you're asking. Then comes information gathering and information extraction. After that, the really critical part, synthesis and reasoning. And throughout this entire process, it's doing source tracking. That last one is absolutely crucial, because if you can't trust the sources, the whole thing falls apart. You need every single one of these pieces for the final report to be useful. Now, when you actually go to build one of these, you've got a couple of ways you can go. You can build a single, monolithic agent that has a bunch of tools at its disposal. Or you can get a little more creative and build a whole multi-agent team. And this multi-agent approach is honestly pretty fascinating. It's literally like assembling a digital dream team. You've got your research agent that goes out and does the digging. Then the analyst agent comes in to compare things and connect the dots. The writer agent drafts the final report. And then, my favorite, the critic agent, whose whole job is to check for quality and find any gaps. It's so powerful because it basically mimics how a human expert team works. And that's how you get those really robust, high-quality results. Okay, let's get to the main event. This is the heart of it all. We're going to walk through the exact step-by-step blueprint that an agent follows to go from a simple question to a fully finished report. This 6-step workflow you see here, this is the engine that drives the whole system. It's a really logical process. First, it understands and refines the question. Then, it generates a plan with sub-questions. It moves on to search and retrieval, then document processing, then that crucial synthesis step, and finally, it generates the report. We're going to break these down, starting with the planning phase. So the first thing a smart agent does is it knows not to just dive into a huge topic headfirst. That's a recipe for disaster. Instead, it acts like a project manager. It takes a big, broad query, like, say, LLM observability tools, and it breaks it down into a whole bunch of smaller, much more manageable sub-questions. This is how it creates a solid plan and makes sure it covers all the bases. Okay, once the plan is set, the agent starts gathering and processing information. And it's really important to see these as 2 totally separate steps. Search and retrieval is just about getting the raw materials, right? Finding all the URLs, snippets, and documents. But document processing, that's the prep work. That's where it summarizes things, pulls out key facts, and gets everything ready for the main analysis. And all of that prep work brings us to, frankly, the most valuable part of this entire process. This is the step where we go from just having a pile of facts to having real, genuine insight. This is the magic of synthesis. I mean, look at this. This really says it all. An agent that can just give you a summary, Yeah, that's helpful. But an agent that can synthesize information, that is an absolute game changer. This is the one step that elevates the whole thing from being a simple script to being a true AI analyst. So let's really nail down the difference here because it's so important. A summary answers a question, what does this one document say? Simple enough. But synthesis answers a much bigger, much more powerful question. What does all of this mean together? It's about finding the themes, the connections, and even the contradictions between a whole bunch of different sources. So how do we actually get the AI to do that? Well, it all comes down to the prompt. We give it a very specific set of instructions in a synthesis prompt. We're not just saying, hey, summarize this. We're telling it, identify the themes, compare the features, highlight any contradictions, and give me the top key takeaways. This prompt is basically the secret sauce that forces the LLM to go beyond summarizing and actually produce genuine insight. Okay, we've covered the theory. We know how it works. Now let's get practical. In this last section, we're going to talk about the actual toolkit you'll need to build one of these, and just as importantly, how you can evaluate and improve it. So here's your core tech stack. First, you need a powerful LLM. Think a GPT-4 class model. That's the brain of the operation. Then you need an orchestration framework, something like LangChain or CrewAI, to act as the nervous system that connects everything. For retrieval, especially from your own documents, you'll want a vector database. And of course, you need a web search tool to get live data from the internet. These are pretty much the essential building blocks. Now, once your agent spits out a report, how do you know if it's any good? Well, you basically have a 3-point checklist. First is coverage. Did it actually answer your whole question, or did it miss stuff? Second, accuracy. Is it grounded in real sources, or is it just making things up? And finally, clarity. Is the report easy to read, scannable, and actually useful? If you can check all 3 boxes, you're in good shape. And look, things will go wrong. Of course they will. You'll run into some common pitfalls. Maybe the output is way too generic, or worse, it starts hallucinating and making up facts. This little table here is a great cheat sheet for that. For example, if it's being too generic, the fix is to tweak your prompt to ask for specific examples. The point is, for every common problem, there's a practical fix. So when you put it all together, here's the big takeaway. An AI research agent is so much more than a simple script. It's a whole system. A system that can plan, retrieve, extract, compare, and, most importantly, synthesize information to give you actionable insight. That's the real power. The amazing thing is that building one of these is more accessible today than it has ever been. It's an incredibly powerful tool that can save you just a ridiculous amount of time and help you find insights you might have otherwise missed. So really, the only question left to ask is, what are you going to ask it first? Thanks for tuning in. I'll catch you in the next one.